how you doing, listeners? I'm Gina Versa. I'm at Slamdance, and we're talking to some filmmakers of the film African Giants. We saw it Friday at the screening at Slamdance, and I'm really excited to talk to these gentlemen. Guys, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, so my name is Omar S, and I'm the writer, director, and producer of African Giants.
My name is Leo Blumberg-Woll, and I'm the producer of African Giants.
Awesome. Yeah, so guys, tell us a little bit about your Slamdance experience. The movie screening here. Is this its first screening in a festival?
Yes.
Awesome.
This is our world premiere, and we could not be more honored to be screening at Slamdance. I think we always talk about is like just the lineup, the legacy of people who have been here. Christopher Nolan debuted here, Bong Joon-ho debuted here. I can't even believe that we're at the same place. Kind of pinching myself a little bit, but so far it's been going really great.
Yeah, it's honestly been a great experience. Like I was talking to Omar about this earlier, Slamdance has always kind of been one of the top festivals that we were looking at, and we're very grateful to be here. And it's very cool to kind of see so many people that have such varied films coming into the same area, and it makes you even more deeply appreciative of kind of like your works being selected for this, because it's a very competitive festival.
Yeah, no, it's been my first time here, and I'm just loving like the intimacy of it, I guess. Like it's just like we're all just like hanging out here and like watching movies, and the lobby, or just like there's like a fireplace. And,
yeah. They say that this is the festival by filmmakers for filmmakers, and I feel like you can really feel that energy. Like especially like even with I'm in the group with the narrative filmmakers, and there's 10 of us, and every single person is super supportive about the other person. It doesn't really feel like this competition unless it's happening behind my back. I haven't seen it. It just feels like everyone is super supportive and going to each other's screenings, and it just feels like we're respect for like we all made these films probably very scrappily, so we respect it.
It's funny because the first time that we got like the Slamdance kind of filmmaker Bible, I was reading through it, and what Omar just said was by filmmakers, for filmmakers, and the entire pitch for African Giants when I was sending it out to people was by Africans for Africans.
Oh yeah, I forgot that.
And so every single time I see that, I'm like, this could not be a more fitting festival, honestly.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
Yeah, no, it's like perfect. And just talking about the movie, let's just like go into it, because I really enjoyed it. I was telling Omar a little bit like before we started interviewing, I love how like authentic it is to like living in Los Angeles as a working class like entertainment like someone like working in the entertainment industry, because it's like I was telling him like the line where one of the characters is saying like I live off like $1,300 a month, it's like, oh man, I've been there before. Like I was like, that was me. I was doing like freelance edit gigs and like background jobs on like TV shows. But can you talk a little bit about like writing it and just kind of like making it like authentic to like living in LA, because I felt it was really lived in.
No, I really appreciate that, and the sometimes the reason it can feel that way is because I was talking about my actual experience. There was a significant period of time right after AFI where I was living off $1,300 to $1,400 a month, and the way you do it, you make a lot of sacrifices. You don't have a lot of things. You just keep it to bare minimums, low rent, and I think I have a way of making very efficient grocery shopping trips that last longer but don't cost that much money. And so
Aldi?
I'm 30 now.
Oh no, I said, do you go to Aldi?
Oh, I did not do Aldi. I have a Ralph's hack.
Okay.
I know my Ralph's.
I used to do Aldi all the time. William Mary.
Yeah.
William Mary. Aldi had it all the time.
Yeah.
But like you were saying, it's a grind. Like it's a grind trying to break into this industry, especially like if you're someone who like me, my family has no experience in the entertainment industry. There wasn't like someone I could call to give me advice or whatever. Like I applied to film school, luckily got in, and then after that was just trying to figure things out on my own. And I think in the film, Alaji is an actor, but it's really a film about me trying to be a director, but I just didn't want to make it about a director. I was like, let's change it up a little bit. But all those experiences are experiences that I've dealt with in terms of like, you think you're getting the next gig, but it doesn't come through. You get excited. And I remember I've even now stopped telling my family members about things until they're concrete, because I used to go, oh, this big thing is happening. It might happen. They get all excited, and then I have to call them, oh, Mom, it's not happening. And so that really is a thing that I think a lot of people have gone through, and something I'm excited about that a lot of like actors specifically have mentioned to me after watching a film. Thank you for showing that moment where you get excited for something and it might not happen, because it's one of the realest things, and we don't always talk about that.
I think it's also funny because I think that the embodiment of the film is the perfect response to those kinds of situations, because what you're talking about is like the idea of the rejection of the industry, and sometimes like the issues that you have when you're trying to break into it, which is that's a shared feeling across the highest level stars to the people who haven't gotten anything made yet. And Omar deciding to go out and make this for something because he wasn't being necessarily given that yet is the embodiment of my response to I thought I was going to do this. They didn't give this to me, so I'm going to go do it myself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, making like your own opportunity and everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
American dream.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's beautifully said.
yeah, that's yeah. And then can you guys, I guess like starting with Leo, can you talk about like just kind of producing this movie? It's a low budget, it's an independent film. These films are worth making, and like there's an audience for it. Yeah, talk a bit about that.
Yeah, I've always been, so the one thing that I have to say is like I produced this. This guy also truly produced this project, and there would be no project like outside of the creative part without him, because he is consistently on it, has been there from pre-production all the way to post, and consistently like really on it, never disengaged, which I think is beautiful, and you really don't get that with like any filmmakers, let alone somebody who's trying to make their own stuff. So like kudos to him because it's beautiful. But also, we were both working full-time jobs at the time that we made this project. It was funny. He would be shooting for 6 hours. He'd yell cut. He'd look down at his boss. He'd text him. He'd get back up.
I think you have a picture on it.
Yeah, we have a picture on it. I'd be like sending out reports before, like at 2 a.m. to 5 a.m.
God.
Get to set at 6 a.m.
Oh my God.
But it was cool because we
Yeah.
realized that like one of the things that we went through the entire process, but we realized we could do this, and it was a space where it was really just kind of just finding our new territory for both of us. It was partially. Part of it was, and this has felt like a consistent thing throughout, it was, let's hire these people because we're making this project. And Omar, by itself, basically refused to push our shoot date, which was a great move because it really forced us to just put things into the world. And so we started hiring people, and we're like, we probably need some money for this. And then we went back and got some more money and continued to do that. And so, that was an entire grind and process in and of itself. I was lucky enough that I had a team that was like very much. We selected people that had done this on like a micro scale, but also some people who had done this in the commercial world. So like they had a very good understanding of how to run a ship, and I was very honest up front, and I think that was probably the most important thing out of all the things that we did on this project, was to just come out and be transparent about like, hey, I'm producing this project, but I don't know necessarily how to create a schedule. I'm gonna leave that to the first AD in its entirety. I'm not going to do things that I don't know how to do, and you can help me with things that I don't know how to do. And I think that gave a lot of other people trust in me because I wasn't pretending like I knew everything. I knew the things that I knew, and I didn't know the things I didn't know. And that allowed people to come and surround me where like those holes were. And I think that's why it worked very well. And honestly, it was a 16-day shoot. It really felt quite smooth on set, day to day, which is a weird thing to say, but it really didn't feel like we had many issues at all.
Honestly, it's one of the smoothest sets I've been a part of. Like, and what I love too is that we hired good people. So a lot of it was my team. Like our department heads were my team from my short film, and they're like my family now. They're my best friends in LA. So they were there. We created this experience together, and I literally think when one of you were saying earlier, me and Leo always said we were building it while we were building the plane while we were flying it. So we literally were like, okay, the draft is done. We start pre-production. We start hiring. We're still tweaking the script. We're still doing investors. I remember there was one day where we went to the location scout. I get into the car and we were on a call with an investor trying to close like one of the last plans.
Like
in the middle of our
That's awesome.
So we and like he said, unfortunately, I almost wish that I had more maybe reservations, because if I had known, maybe I wouldn't have done it. But at the time, I was telling Leo, we're shooting in July no matter what happens. And Leo's like, are you sure? Do we not need to push? I'm like, we're shooting.
That was, and that's what I mean also about like him producing it though, is because he had a lot of people that like the heads of departments that were essential to this production that were already brought on. We ended up bringing on a couple other people for like the actual production staff, but like he already had his production designer, he already had his costume designer, he already had his DP. He knew a lot of people in hair and makeup from AFI, and so all these people were willing to come on, and they knew it was a micro budget, but they believed in this guy. And so that made it work very well.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love like just the collective of like your network just like coming together as like Avengers. Almost, like
I like that. We'll use that moving forward.
I don't know.
When we post the picture of us at the step and repeat, I'm gonna say Avengers. The African Giant Avengers. Gene.
Not Marvel.
No, but went smoothly. Was there any hard days where you had to like problem solve or anything like that? That stood out?
I think a couple. I think it's that's with filmmaking. There's always things like that. I think for me, there was one day where we shot 14 pages in a day, which we were very impressed by. But really, my actors made it easier because they literally like knew all their lines and knew it was a lot of dialogue, so we were able to get it out fast. But I think there's a day where we had to problem solve a lot. Was we have a party scene. So most of the film is intimate. There's 2 actors. There's one party scene where we had maybe 30 or 40 extras, and then more even principal cast. There was a lot going on, a lot of moving pieces, and we ended up getting behind in the schedule. And speaking of the Avengers, like Jonas, who I think our DP, who's amazing, Jonas Fisher. Maybe I'll say he's like Thor, but
He is Thor.
He's like Thor. We literally are running out of time, but this is our last day in the apartment. We're about to go shoot all the exteriors after this. So if we don't finish this scene, which is the climax of the movie, we have no movie. And with the budget we had, there's no reshoots. And we literally shot one of the biggest moments in the film, and it's multiple shots, it's a bunch of things in I think half an hour. And his setup time in between was so I've never seen a team move that quickly. But awesome. You problem solve in real time when you have talented people who make your job easier, and he came through.
And I'll say the day to day, the first half of the day always feels like you're just putting out fires, just like random small things, and then the second half is just like collecting your mind and trying to like move through the things you were supposed to do the day before.
Right.
The one day that was like very tenuous and we weren't sure what was going to happen was I think the day that the basketball scene happened. And he really again, kudos to him, kudos to Jonas and the entire team, because we had like one day of scouting there, and we were just bringing in like random friends for basketball teams, and honestly they looked great. But he had one
they
day.
actually play basketball. That's why.
Yeah. This is very true. But initially we probably wanted 2 days for that basketball scene if we had it, and we did it in one, and it looks honestly beautiful. It's one of the most stunning parts of the movie, I think, in terms of like the shots and the movement, and I was so impressed by it.
I enjoyed that scene too. It also looked really familiar. Where was that at?
It was Silver Lake. It's
okay.
like right there in the Silver Lake courts, like right in the middle of
Is it by like there's like an Astro or like a Rick's or like there's like a burger spot?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay. I know that basketball spot.
Yes.
I've like passed by it like commuting to like work or something.
It's a beautiful space.
I've actually played there with some of the guys in that film, like recreationally. Recreationally.
No, it looks cool. I'm probably like uncoordinated, but like I'm like, if I could ever like, just like check it out there or something, it'd be cool.
Next time.
The beauty of having that location was that we had to go scout a bunch of different basketball courts, and we had to go play basketball on like a bunch of different courts.
There's some pictures of like our production designer, one of our other producers. We're just playing basketball, throwing a ball around the court.
That's awesome. That's cool. Yeah, and then it just goes back to like this movie feels like really lived in, very like authentic to LA, and like that really like shows. So it's really cool. Just kind of like winding down here because I know we're a little short on time, but can you guys talk a little bit about like maybe like influences just on the film, or just like what went into like inspiring you?
Right, absolutely. So kind of Leo was touching on it earlier in terms of, we actually I came up with the idea out of frustration in terms of, I'm in the industry, I've had a little success with my short, and I'm having all these general meetings, and I feel like everyone's saying nice things to me, but no one's actually wanting to do this. And I started to just do research to be like, well, how did my idols do it? And I noticed like a trend, like Barry Jenkins, Damien Chazelle, and Destin Daniel Cretton, who are filmmakers I adore, all shot a micro-budget feature before their second feature, which was the thing that defined them in the industry. There's Medicine for Melancholy before Moonlight. There's Guy and Madeline on a Park Bench before Whiplash. There's I Am Not a Hipster before Short Term 12. And I'm like, that might be the key. You prove to people that you can do it on a level, and then they'll be able to, give you the keys in another sense. So those were inspirations for us. And I think in terms of like stylistically, there's a film called Weekend by Andrew High, which is a wonderful, wonderful film I'd recommend. And we kind of just took that model of these brothers spending a couple of days together and seeing how they change over the course of that day. So Medicine for Melancholy, again, was another huge influence.
Yeah, definitely. And then last question for you guys both, because I know since there was a basketball scene, favorite basketball team and or player.
Fantastic.
You go first. You go first.
Yeah.
So I'm unfortunately tortured by the Chicago Bulls.
Okay.
And I live in fear every day.
Yeah.
But shout out to DeRozan, he's carrying our team.
But
my favorite player probably of all time from the Chicago Bulls is going to be Derrick Rose. Unfortunately,
Not Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
No, because here's the thing: is like
Okay.
I like Michael
Hot
Jordan is
take.
like he's
Hot.
he's the guy, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's not the guy I grew up watching.
Oh,
Like
right.
Derrick Rose is the guy I grew up watching. And
Yeah.
if Derrick Rose had actually like had legs for the entirety like of his like career,
He was
Yeah.
amazing.
he would have been like a multi-time MVP.
He was amazing.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, he had toothpicks for legs, but
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Well, if you watch the film, you'll definitely tell who my favorite character
Yeah.
is. Giannis Antetokounmpo
Yeah.
is the biggest inspiration for me. Giannis, if you're listening, I love you. keep going. This is our year. We're gonna win it this year. And so because of that, like I'm not necessarily like a team guy. I'm a player guy.
Yeah.
And I really, really identify with his story. He's Nigerian. He worked to get here. People didn't believe he could do it, but he's overcome everything, which one of the characters says in the film. So I'm really rooting for him, and I just love his story, his background, his humility, and I just think Giannis is amazing.
Awesome.
So if you want to have another podcast to talk specifically about
Yeah,
Giannis,
just basketball.
we can do that.
Yeah, there we go. Oh yeah. But yeah, no, I just want to thank you guys for being on the podcast. Where can any like social media people could find you at on the movie? Anything you want to promote?
Absolutely. Well, we have another screening on Tuesday, the 23rd at 2:30 p.m. at the Yarrow at Slamdance in the Summer David Theater. If you're around, come check us out. Our Instagram is at African Giants Film, and then mine is at OS Kamara and at Lenny Nardo.
Yeah, at Lenny Nardo, but mine's not important.
Yeah. No worries. But yeah, it was a great film. Wishing you guys like the best of luck, like on the journey and everything. I hope the film does well and like here and everything. So yeah, cool.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Such a pleasure
Appreciate
talking
it.
with you.
Yeah, pleasure
talking
with
to
you. Yeah, and then this has been an interview here, and thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We've been professionally unprofessional.